Welcome back to the Monday After Podcast, guys. This is week one. My name's Denton. I'm gonna be your host. I'll have a few co-hosts hop on with me, shoot the shit with me. We'll talk matchups, any games that we want to talk about, and betting. I recently got into gambling, sports gambling. I went to Colorado, had a really good, solid few months with DraftKings, but I'm back in Georgia now, so I'm limited to Prize Picks, so I'll have some slips for y'all in later weeks, and I'll post some on Twitter, Instagram if I find some. Starting off, we're gonna hop on the ice with the NHL Stanley Cup round two. Seattle and Dallas just ended. Seattle winning 6-2 last time I looked at it, and it was they dominated. Like Dallas was not getting past their tender. Just he was just blocking everything, putting a mid on it, getting legs on it. It's pretty and it's pretty crazy. And then Seattle just kept putting the pressure on them, scoring goal after goal, and it was a really good game for the Kraken. That series is 2-1. I have Seattle winning that matchup. So I hopefully the Kraken can keep up the pressure on Dallas, kind of they want to make them stress about it. If Seattle stressing about it, game 2 was like that. Dallas won 4-2, and they just couldn't catch up. If they can get out early, I think they'll close that out in the next few games. Moving on to the next matchup, the Hurricanes versus Devils. Just dominating wins all over the board for both teams. Like, it's 2-1 Carolina, but the Devils just showed out in game 3 with the 8-4 win. And it's pretty hard to outgun somebody scoring 4 goals, and they just doubled it. They put up 8. But Carolina taking game 1 5-1, game 2 6-2, so that series is 2-1. I had the Hurricanes winning that one. I just think the Devils probably should have closed out the Rangers early on in round 1. I think they were kind of feeling the fatigue in game 1 and game 2, but I think they're kind of picking up pace, getting that offense back. Next series is the Maple Leafs versus the Panthers. Panthers just coming out 3-0 in that series. Game 1 4-2, game 3 3-2, game 3 3-2 in overtime. So they're all close games, all of them. And if Toronto can get their transitions in better, I think they could possibly reverse sweep with Austin Matthews being the front and center guy for them. I think it could be a possibility, but I don't know. I picked the Panthers for that. Moving on to the last one, I think is going to be the best series: the Oilers versus the Knights, Vegas versus Edmonton. Vegas winning 6-4, and that score doesn't show how really close it was. If you watch the game, it was 5-4 up until the last 2 minutes. Edmonton had good pressure on an empty net, but Vegas took it away and just smacked the 6th one in. And then game 2, Edmonton dominated 5-1. McDavid coming in, making plays for them, just looking like game 1 never happened. I mean, they kind of bottled him. He didn't really have anything he could do, so it's looking good. And now we're going to move on to the second round of the NBA playoffs, which everyone has been watching. And there's been some crazy games. It's both really good series, which I like. First up, we got the Celtics versus the Sixers. Always going to be a good game, rivalry game. Two of the best teams in the East, I think. Well, they are. I think the Bucks losing like that to the Heat is just an indication of record doesn't mean shit. You know, I don't think you can ever bet against Jimmy Butler in that way. But getting back to that series, game 1, Philly took 119 to 115 without Joel Embiid, the MVP of the league. They announced that earlier this week. And then game 2, he was back, but they just got mollywopped. I mean, game 2, 121 to 87 with the MVP is, I just think that's absurd to me. Like, this kid won the most valuable player of the NBA. Just like looking back at the history of that, those guys have made the biggest impact. Like Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Giannis won it, and then he won the finals, which is it's crazy to me. Game three, 114 to 102, Boston. They just they kind of bottled them towards the end of the game, ran away with it a little bit, and then game four was wild. I mean, it was a crazy overtime. Harden popped off, and him and Embiid combined for 76 points, and he hit the go-ahead shot, and Lil Baby was courtside. He cooks in front of Baby. It's absurd. Now we got the Nuggets and Suns, and that's always gonna. I think that'll be always a good series. I feel like those teams will be matching up in the playoffs for the next few years, pending on injuries. Because we know Kevin Durant, as we know, is the most injury-prone dude in the NBA. I mean, the dude about broke his ankle in the layup line. So game one, 125, 107, Denver. It was, I mean, D Book was showing out. I mean, he's been putting up numbers in the playoffs. And I think Chris Paul I feel like he is a third option, which he shouldn't be. He needs to be looking for someone else to be the third option. And now he can't be the third option. He's hurt. Game two, 97-87, Denver. Closer game than game one, but still not really what they were looking for. The production, other than their big three, it wasn't there. And the Nuggets just have such a good team. Like Jamal Murray, I think he showed himself as one of the best guards in the league in the bubble, and he keeps doing it when he stays healthy. And adding Aaron Gordon last year really helped them a lot. And I think everything's clicking for them, and they might go all the way. I have them winning this series. I had Boston winning the Philly series, which I think that'll probably go to Game 7. And the next two games both gone to Phoenix. So series is tied up 2-2, 121 to 114, and then 129 to 124. And like without Chris Paul, without your point guard, is tough to do. And if they can keep that up, that would be crazy. Next up, I think this is going to be the best series for the NBA Finals. The Knicks versus Miami. Because it's one of those things. I mean, all these games are good, but this is going to be the most entertaining. Just two teams that don't like each other. Miami's up 2-1 in the series. Miami won game one, 108 to 101, and Jimmy got hurt towards the later half, but they had a pretty big lead. The only reason it was that close is because I think he was kind of taking it easy, just preserving the lead. And then game two, the Knicks won 111 to 105 without Jimmy Butler. And then game three, Jimmy came back and they just dominated, 105 to 86. Miami taking that 2-1. You can never count a team with Jimmy Butler out, I think, especially after the bubble season. I mean, yeah, Mickey Mouse, whatever, but still, that's as ball as you can get. I mean, that's like private session runs. Everybody's just showing out. I mean, yeah, they're not trying to get hurt, but like this is the next level of that. And then Golden State Lakers. This is actually the surprising one for me. LeBron's just doing LeBron. This is playoff Bron. We all know it. We all see it. A lot of people doubt it. I doubt it sometimes, and then I forget. Game one, Lakers won by 5, 117 to 112. That was a pretty interesting game. And then two blowouts, 127 to 100, and then 127 to 97, both going to each team's. Dennis Schroeder did the most respectful shake away on some man in the Warriors. I don't remember who it is, but he stood at the top of the key, thought about going over, and just went. Like, is Dennis Schroeder doing that to you? He hasn't been good since he was on the Hawks. Like, it's absurd. And like this Warriors team is different than the ones LeBron faced when he was in Cleveland. Draymond's old. They don't have the role players. Jordan Poole's still good, but he's hit or miss sometimes. Like, it just he has to be on for this, because Clay and Curry can't do everything. I mean, even when they won, I mean, they had KD for one of them. Draymond was actually not old. He was I mean, he was getting old, but he was in the end of his prime, and he was just locking stuff up. Moving on to the most recent NFL stuff, the draft, which, as a Georgia fan, I'm now an Eagles fan. You know, they drafted so many dogs: Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Keelan Ringo, and they traded for DeAndre Swift. That's, I guess, absurd. They're making moves. They're definitely made up for all the losses they made in the offseason. So I have them as a winner. I'm only gonna do a few winners. I think the Bears did really good. They're really building around Justin Fields. Um, drafting tackles and defense. Just trying to. They need to beef it up. I don't think it'll be immediate success, but they will have success. I think the Texans is another one without it won't be immediate success. Um, Trading up for Will Anderson was questionable, but they still have a first round pick last year, so I don't see anything. I think Will Anderson will have impact, but they need to get receivers for Bryce Young, for sure. And the questionable ones for me were the Titans and the Falcons. Like, yeah, Tannehill's on his way out, but you have Malik Willis. Like you drafted him for a reason to be your future, and then you go and draft Will Levis. And I'm not totally convinced on Will Levis. I watched him. He was in the SEC. I've watched every Georgia game. I watched him play Georgia. He didn't impress me. He threw 4 picks against a not that good of a Tennessee defense, if I'm being honest. And then the Falcons. We reached on Bijan, and we have two good running backs in Algier and Patterson. And it's just like there's Jalen Carter's right there, the best player by far in the draft. Forget like character wise, he can work on character. It's a one mistake, and even though it's a bad mistake, it's one mistake. Um, I just don't see why you draft him right there. If you want a skill position player, why not go for the best wide receiver on the board? Trade back, get something a little more in return, and then draft a wide receiver. Or you fucking draft a quarterback. Because I'm not confident in Desmond Ritter. I saw him play in college, and I saw what Georgia did to him. Granted, it wasn't. I mean, that wasn't even our peak defense, and he didn't have his best showing at all. Not even near that. So I don't know. I would have loved to have Anthony Richardson. That would have been amazing. And I'm actually surprised that the Titans didn't trade up to get him. That's what I thought. I was like hearing, I saw so much insider stuff on that, them trading up to get him. And I feel like he would have been a great pick. And if somehow they could have fleeced, like I saw the Cardinals were shopping DeAndre Hopkins, which is wild to me, seeing as he's one of the most dominant receivers in the league last year, and he was suspended for half the season. But these execs do know more than I do. We'll see if some of them will pan out. I don't think Will Levis will not pan out. He will not. And the, the Colts or the Texans could damn well get Marvin Harrison Jr. And I watched that Georgia Ohio State game. Clean hit, by the way, but that dude is amazing. Best wide receiver by far. People are saying he's the best wide receiver to come out of the college since Calvin Johnson, and Calvin Johnson was a dog. I watched him in college, and he terrorized Georgia. And then my boy Matt Stafford was so into him for years. Oh, and one more winner with the biggest bias in the world, biggest Georgia bias in the world, the Rams. Drafting Stetson Bennett. Like, I don't see why people don't believe in him at all. Like, it's absurd. He can be a great quarterback. Like, people undersized, who cares? Drew Brees is one of the best quarterbacks in the league of all time. He was a guaranteed Hall of Famer. And he's the same size. I think he's smaller. And then people were saying, oh, Bryce Young's small. He was drafted number 1. I haven't seen a single throw on his tape that Stetson couldn't make. And I'm saying that with a straight face. I'm not laughing. CJ Stroud, yes, he has an arm. Great talent. He can't run. what is he going to do when TJ Watt, Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, Miles Garrett's coming at his face? He's going to fold. Like, it's just, like, I get it. I do get it. Undersized white kid. No, there's nothing to do with race. What am I talking about? But, I mean, his record and stats should show it. Our Georgia's best receiver, George Pickens, didn't play for all of the first national championship, 2021. He didn't play for the whole season except for the 2 games. Yeah, Brock Bowers is there, but you got to walk on and Lad McConkey. A.D. Mitchell was hurt all of last season. I mean, I think he can make things work. I think him being under Stafford does a lot. They have similar. Matt Stafford has a crazy arm, but I think under him and in the Rams organization, he can do really good. I think the Steelers also won the draft. Drafting linemen, drafting Darnell Washington, a good blocking tight end. Dude's massive. But you need blocking for Kenny Pickett. You want time for him to make the play to George Pickens and his other receivers. Get Pat Freiermuth out on routes, have Darnell block it, take some heat off of Freiermuth. Moving on to the MLB, my favorite sport. Early season reviews. The Braves are on a hot start. A good amount of injuries early in the season, but still, we got the best record in the NL. Arcia's back. We optioned Vaughn Grissom, which was interesting because I think he's better than Shoemake. Like, I've seen him play in AAA, and I just think Vaughn is more. I mean, we want him to get reps at short and then second, yeah. But I'd rather have him at second if Ozzie needs a day off or Ozzie gets hurt. I mean, he's 21, yeah. It's not going to be that demoralizing to him, but I don't know. I think he has a better bat. He has more experience hitting wise. And like today versus Orioles, our offense was terrible. I mean, we couldn't get anything. And the Rays are the best team in the AL, is looking like right now. Longest winning streak to start the season in MLB history. That team's finally paying off. All those trades, all those prospects are paying off. Randy isn't dropping a step from the World Baseball Classic. I mean, the dude was the best player in the World Baseball Classic by far. I mean, he put Mexico on his back, pretty much. And I think he could be an MVP candidate, honestly. I don't have his lines pulled up, and we'll go into who I think is going to be MVP coming up. Can money really win? The Mets. Biggest Mets hater on earth right here. I hate the Mets. But they spent so much money in the offseason. Cashman, and I think losing Edwin hurts a lot. It does, because he's the best reliever in baseball. I mean, he diced up the Braves. I'm not ashamed to say it. He is him. I think he is the best one in the entire league. And then the Yankees as well. Both teams struggling. Both New York teams struggling. Yankees are last in the AL East. Judge has gone back on the IL after hurting his hip on a swing. It just looked like a normal swing, but I think they kind of rushed getting him back. I mean, it's early in the season. It's just past the first 30 games. Don't rush your best player to get back. I mean, Braves didn't rush Ronald to get back at all. And now look at him. He's 5th in the league in batting average. He's top 5 in a lot of other things. One of the best defensive players in the league. I mean, why would you ever run on him? We saw that in the Orioles game. I mean, the dude is the backbone of the team, and you're rushing him and risking him more. It just doesn't make sense at all. The Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks have surprised me very much, and I think they can be good going forward. Corbin Carroll is going to be in MVP conversation for the NL in the next few years, probably 2 years. I mean, the dude is he rakes. I think. I mean, he's fast. He's a lefty, and he can hit pretty damn good. I need to let me pull up his stats right now. Actually, while I do that though, Tatis has finally come back. Steroid incident, all the other stuff. I mean, but the dude is he's he's back, and it's great to see because like the Padres were kind of struggling. Machado's been struggling. Juan Soto's struggling. He's been struggling though ever since he got there, and it's not looking like that trade's paying off too much because they lost Josh Bell, and Soto's not really doing anything. Corbin Carroll batting 315, 5 home runs, 11 RBIs with a 939 OPS. And this is his rookie season. I mean, he played a few games last year, but I mean, this is technically his rookie season. The dude he's electric to watch. He's only 22, and he just got a big extension from the Diamondbacks, so he's going to be with them for a while. If they can keep building on those pieces, Zach Gallen's is one of the most dominant pitchers in the league, I think, and they're second in the West right now. The Dodgers picking it up a little bit, but Freddie's going to get old. His eyesight's going down. We saw it in Atlanta. He's still, I mean, he's going to hit. And with the shift now being how it is, can't do much about it. In the early MVP candidates, both these players just won Player of the Month, and if they can keep it up, it might be over. I mean, it might be these two teams coming out. I hope, and one of them is a Blue Jay. It's Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman is just he's tearing it up. Bo's hitting good, but the rest of them, the pitching staff is struggling really bad. Manoah is not doing too hot, and so neither of the rest of them. The Braves have a 3-game series coming up with them. Maybe a sweep. If you're putting money on a sweep, put money on it. I would definitely do it. Depends who. I mean, and if Spencer pitches too, Spencer Strider's leading the league in strikeouts over Shohei by 8. It's absurd. And then I have another one for the AL, and it is Randy Rosarena, batting 328, 9 home runs, 30 RBIs, 991 OPS. But it just depends on if he can keep it up. I mean, same thing for Chapman, and it's going to be the same thing for Ronald. That's my NL MVP. That's my pick. I already put money on that. I had a future on it on DraftKings. Ronald batting 338 right now, 431 on base percentage, 551 slugging. The dude's raking. Chapman, 349 average, 434 on base percentage, 603 slugging. And these dudes are league leaders right now. It's absurd. And then Tatis, if he can heat up, I mean, his batting average is good right now, but everything else needs to progressively get there. 290 average, 319 on base percentage, and a 522 slugging. And I think those numbers kind of jumped up because of Mexico series. The elevation was crazy. It's like 1,000 feet higher than Coors Field. Maybe even more. I mean, it was absurd. And Judge, even like going back to Judge now, I mean, he's not having that good of a year. I mean, he's high on slugging, but other than that, he's not looking too hot. And the big storyline, there's two big ones for health issues. DeGrom is one of them. This man cannot stay healthy to save his life. I don't know what it is. I think once he increased his velo, everything just started going wrong for him. I mean, he's the most dominant pitcher in the league by far. Him and Shohei, top two. and I think they're tied for first. But he just can't stay healthy. That's the thing. So they're not tied for first. I lied. Shohei's one. DeGrom is two. But if he could stay healthy, he'd be one. Just because Shohei can hit and pitch like he does, he's one. And I mean, the Angels are second in the AL West right now. They just they rely on Trout and Shohei too much, way too much, and they lost today 16-8. The Rangers took both games, 2 out of 3 games in that series. Um, just Texas could be sneaky, even without DeGrom. I think they'll be sneaky. Angels are 19-16 in the West, and if they don't stay second and in playoff contention for these guys for the playoffs, Shohei's gone. Like he's not gonna sign back. I don't think, and it's gonna suck for them because he's better than Trout right now. He's more important to them than Trout is. I mean, Shohei this year, 4-0, 2.5 ERA, 59 strikeouts, .87 WHIP, and that's absurd. 39 innings pitched, 11 earned runs, 125 opposing batting average. Like he has to walk. He has to. I don't think, and the best thing for them to do would be to trade him. Get some profit out of that. Don't come out of this empty-handed, like a lot of teams have done. The Yankees almost came out of it empty-handed when Judge left. So many, and the Mets lost DeGrom, one of the best pitchers in the league, for nothing. If they weren't in playoff contention, he would have been gone. They would have been sitting pretty right now. They could have gotten anyone they wanted, I think, except for Shohei and Trout probably. And then Ronald Acuna Jr. is finally healthy, and it's on full display. It is on full display. I'm watching him every day. And even not everyone else is. The entire MLB fan base is seeing Ronald right now. We haven't got a full season out of him since his second year in the league. He's in year 4. And it's scary. ACL, he hasn't even had a full year. He came up midway through his first year. Then, COVID season, tore his ACL. Didn't really do too good last year. He was still kind of getting back. I mean, his speed wasn't there. But now, he's back. And the league is on hold until he's gone. He's the most electric player in the league. I mean, he's up there with Trout, like, as fun to watch. Bryce Harper is fun to watch. Acuna's on the same level. Like, think about Bryce Harper's prime in Washington. I mean, he's still in his prime. Dude's a fucking freak. I mean, he came off of Tommy John 159 days after he had it. And people didn't think we were going to see him till July, which is absurd. And Bryce is coming back like it's still the fucking playoffs from last year. It's absurd. And it's what they needed. Like, the Philly, they have a good roster. As much as it hurts me to say it, they have a good roster. They just need stuff to click. Schwarber's batting sub 200. I mean, Bryce Harper right now, 368, only a 1 home run. I mean, it's a small sample size. He's played in, he's had 19 at-bats, 7 hits. Posting a 1.033 OPS right now. He's going to keep it up. It's Bryce Harper. He's in MVP conversation every year. There's no way he's not. I mean, dude's a freak. He's a freak of nature. He's one of the more dominant players. It's what Philly needed. And if nothing happens with his elbow, I mean, hopefully Schwarber can keep getting up. I mean, they just need just the reps. It will come to him. I mean, we saw it in the World Baseball Classic. As long as he can if he can kind of keep it up, the Mets young guys are doing really good. Stott's doing great. Brandon Marsh is leading the team with a 314 batting average. Alec Boehm's finally doing good after a struggling first part of the season last year. He's doing good. Bryson Stott, 42 hits. I mean, like he's doing good. Trey Turner, he can kind of pick it up a little bit. 264 batting average. It's not really what they wanted out of him, but it's all right. Even Nick Castellanos is producing 304. When's the last time we saw him bat 304? Real Muto, it's about what we expected. 281. Most catchers bat way less than that, so it's good to see him batting right there. The real surprise to me for them was picking up Pache, and I think it was a mistake on the A's because I think they could have got something out of him. Really. He's batting 360 right now with a 960 OPS. And they got him for nothing. They got him for dirt cheap. And he's just sitting on their bench now with Bryce Harper back. Because Schwarber has to be in the outfield because Bryce can't throw. It was ridiculous. The Orioles are finally back. Like, all the years of tanking, Gunnar Henderson's producing, Adley's producing. And it's great to see. Like, even though we just played, I got the Orioles hat on right now. And everything's kind of clicking. Mountcastle just broke an 9-game hit streak. Cedric Mullins producing. We always see him produce, but on a good team, he makes a really big impact defensively and offensively. Austin Hayes is leading their team with 291, and they are second in the East, only behind the Rays. And the 22-12 record is not bad at all, especially to start off the season. I mean, it's crazy. And Chicago White Sox are sucking. They were sucking. They're kind of getting it back together. The Astros are not producing, which is surprising, coming off a World Series win. Jeremy Pena's struggling pretty bad. Last time I checked, I'll have a look right now. And Mauricio Dubon is their batting leader with a 287. Dude has no home runs or RBIs. Did I see that right? He's 6 RBIs, but no home runs. Jordan, 31 RBIs, 7 home runs. That's ideally what you want from him. The batting average could be up 275. Kyle Tucker, 280. You want that up. Bregman at a 195. He has not been able to hit in the past few years. I don't know what it is. Your big signing from the offseason, Abreu, not doing much at all. 224. No home runs. 13 RBIs is good, but you want him to go out the park. Maldonado, never really a good hitter. He's the best defensive catcher in the league, but he's never been a good hitter. 171. Jeremy Pena, 249, 246. After all he did in the postseason, you wanted to see him come out and be great. He just wasn't. He hasn't been doing great. And now we're going to look at the Braves. I think this is the best team we've had in a while. If we can stay healthy, if our pitchers can stay healthy, especially, Kyle Wright just went back on the IL. Not staying healthy. But that brings up Dylan Dodd. If he can, he needs to produce and just do what he does. Ronald leading 338 batting average. Matt Olson, Daddy, as I like to call him, leading the Braves with 10 home runs. Sean Murphy, we fleeced the A's 2 years in a row. How do we do that? What's legal about that? That should be illegal in every state imaginable. Leading with 28 RBIs. Ronald with an OPS, or on base percentage, OPS, 431, and Ronald has 46 hits. Now when we look at the rest of the team, everyone's doing about how expected except for Austin Riley. Ozzy, 283. He's heating up a little bit. Austin's got a 246, which I expected him to bat a lot better than that for the past 2 years. I mean, he's MVP votes for multiple years. Matt Olson, same thing, 246, but he's not an average guy. He's a power guy. He's going to give you RBIs. He's going to give you home runs. His defense is a little off this year, but it's all right. Murphy is finally getting his groove. He had a horrible first week. I knew he was going to pick it up, and he has been 282 batting average with a 1.048 OPS. And he's just been raking 9 home runs, 28 RBIs, a 621 slugging, which is absurd. Former A's players are leading both leagues in slugging right now, Matt Chapman and Sean Murphy. Eddie, 250. It's not really where you want to see him, but the NLCS, the 2021 playoffs have obscured how I look at Eddie for sure, because I keep thinking that's how he actually plays. It's not. This is how he plays, and it's effective. He does what he needs to do, and it's good. And pigs are fine in Atlanta right now. It's absurd that Ozuna is hitting again. I mean, he had like 3 home runs in one game, or in 2 games. He had 2 against Miami, and then he hit another one the next day. He's going up to 146, so his batting average can get a DUI now. It used to not. Now he can. 410, 410 slugging isn't bad, but the 292 on base percentage is what gets you. You can't have that for someone like him. Vaughn wasn't doing that bad before we sent him down. 277 batting average, 7 RBIs. He's not really a power guy, even though his first hit was one that cleared the monster. Sam Hilliard, I think he's going to be good for us. If we can keep him and if Eddie leaves, he can fill in for that lefty hole for us. RC has been raking. He finally came back. He got off the IL from that fracture in his hand. 327 batting average with an 899 OPS. Mike's having a little bit of a down year, but it's still early. Rookie of the year last year for the NL. And the dude can play. I mean, I haven't seen the only person I've seen faster than him is Ronald himself. So, and that's your outfield partner. So you ain't got nothing to worry about. Darno started off so hot, and I was so excited for him to be hitting and raking, and then he got a concussion from Roget Odor. What a piece of shit that guy is. But he's batting 333. I kind of ready for him to be back, just so, because Chadwick Thwomp isn't hitting well. 125. That's worse than Maldonado. I mean, he's a AAA catcher. He's been on Gwinnett for forever. And then we really just got to keep hitting. Spencer Strider could have a rookie or a Cy Young. And if he keeps doing what he's doing, it's a damn good possibility. 67 strikeouts through, I don't know how many starts he's had. He's had 5 starts. Yeah, 5 starts is crazy. I mean, 9, 13, 8, 10. I mean, it's crazy. And it's 5 innings against Baltimore with the win. 5 innings against the Mets with the win. Damn near perfect game. Errors ruined that, which that hurt. I was so quiet when we were on defense. I was sweating so bad. 6 innings of 1 hit ball versus San Diego in his second start. Then 5 innings against Cincinnati in his first starts. And he's posting a 2.7 ERA with a .93 whip, 4-0. I mean, you can't, he's dealing. He is dealing. Last 2 starts, he's allowed more runs than he's had in all the rest of the starts. 6 runs in the combined in the last 2 starts, 2 against Baltimore, 4 against the Mets. And that he struggled in that first inning was rough, but then he picked it up. He got through 5 somehow. And then 0 against Miami, 0 against San Diego, 3 against Cincy in his first start. This is his first start. So, and Bryce Elder is 3rd in the league in ERA, 1.74, which is surprising to me. Because his first few starts of last year were really good. Then he kind of fell off hard. He was just getting shelled. But 3-0, 1.7 ERA, 3rd in the league, like I said, with a 1.11 whip. He's not a big strikeout guy. 36 strikeouts. That's not what he is. He's a ground ball. He's a ground ball guy. Uh, 7 total earned runs, and 7 those came in 2 different games. 4 against Miami, 3 against Kansas City, and both of those were wins. The one loss we had was against Houston. 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, and it wasn't even earned. And 1 walk. I mean, the stat line is crazy. It is. If just it all depends on the offense for some of these guys. Like he can't. If he can't get run support, what are you supposed to do? And then the bullpen just shit the bed that game as well. Then we got Max Fried, our ace technically, because Kyle Wright's been hurt a lot. I think he's our ace. I love the guy. He's day to day too. Technically, 2-1, 2.08 ERA. You'd like to see his strikeouts higher than 25, but I don't know. He lost Friday's game against Baltimore. 6 innings, 8 hits, 7 runs, only 5 earned, 2 home runs and 2 walks. He won that Mets game, but he pitched. I mean, there was a rain delay. 5 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. It was great. Houston, 6.2 innings pitch, 3 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, and I was at that game. Our offense could not do anything. Kevin Pillar gave us a lead at one point. I think it was a solo home run. And then Jordan's just wreaking havoc. Like our bullpen was doing so bad that game. It was not good. His second start, 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, 4 strikeouts. And then we got the opening day. Hurt his hamstring early, threw 3 1/3, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 2 strikeouts. I think that kind of hurt him a little bit because he was going good. Then that happened. Got cold. Got unused to it. Just didn't look good. And our bullpen's been really good. I think we have the lowest ERA for the bullpen. I could be lying though. AJ Minter filled in really nicely, except for the Houston game. For Rysel came back. He pitched in back-to-back games, and then, I mean, he looked really good. Perfect against Baltimore today. I think he was perfect against Baltimore yesterday too. So, if it's health again. I mean, Colin McHugh got hurt early. Rysel started hurt. Yeah. So that's gonna be it for this week's episode of the Monday After. No picks this week, like I said. I'll come back next week with some picks. Might have 2 to 3. I might just nuke one, hit a 6 or 5. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.